This is part 5 of the Kyosho Ultima RT6 Stadium Truck build series. I have finished with the front tie rods and everything on the front suspension here, so that there's nothing special about that. I got through the differential build. The diff goes together pretty nicely. I really like the Kyosho diffs. They're very smooth. What's interesting is as you tighten them down, they don't start to get crunchy like with an associated diff or something. If you tighten it down progressively further and further, they will start to bind. These you can tighten them until they start to feel tight, and they still run pretty smooth. Maybe it just has to do with the type of diff spring that you have. I don't know, but it feels really good. And one thing that I noticed about this, and I was trying to figure out for quite some time why it's there, but you'll see on this diff out drive, there's a notch with a little hole in it, okay? And that's on this side here. Now, that hole, later on, you have to plug it in with this guy. This is a similar piece to what you have on the Laser ZX6 for the center transmission out drives. And I commented on the ZX6 build that this part, you have to cut a little notch into the part and then clip it over. And it can be rather brittle, I suppose. If you bend it too much, it'll snap. So if for a while I was thinking, well, why would they have this here if it doesn't serve any purpose and you just have to plug it in? But in fact, it does serve a purpose, because right through that hole is where the screw end for the thrust screw fits. Okay, so if I you can see right now that it's where is it? That hole right there. So you can see straight through the hole. Okay, now if I rotate the diff just a little bit, can't see through the hole anymore. So basically what's going on is, let me see if I can do this with one hand here. Where's the hole? There it is. So if you turn the diff enough, the screw will line up with the hole, okay? And what you can do is, without having to take out, like pop out any of the ball cups for the rear, and pull the whole arm out and everything, and come in from the side with a screw, you can just slot something like an Allen wrench or a hex driver through that hole, through the screw head, and then just tighten the diff that way, so without having to take anything apart. And I think that's really neat. So I'm not entirely convinced that you need to use this clip. I suppose the clip's main purpose is to just keep dirt from getting into that hole there on that little slot. Let's see if I can line it up again here. The camera's not really focusing, so there it is. Okay, so you slot like like an Allen wrench or a hex driver or something right through that hole, and you can tighten the diff that way. This little cap could just be to prevent dirt from getting in there and getting the thrust bearing prematurely dirty. Okay, I can understand that. But that means if you need to adjust the diff, you have to sort of pop this off, and it may snap, I don't know. So if it does snap, I wouldn't consider it to be too big a deal, but just something to note. So that's kind of a neat feature of this diff that you don't see on any of the other diffs, at least the ones that I've seen so far. The only diffs that I know of that are adjustable externally without having to take anything apart or pop ball cups off are for the Losi 22.4. The spacing between where the dog bone plunges in and the thrust bolt, there's just enough play in there for you to fit an L-shaped hex wrench to adjust the diff. Okay, on the associated diffs, I don't believe there's quite enough space for that. I've tried it, I couldn't quite make it work. But this does it in a slightly different way through that little hole. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So the rest of this here is, interestingly, you put the diff together, and then you put together all of the infrastructure, if you will, for the rear suspension, and then you put the gearbox together, and then you mount that into the chassis. So it's kind of strange. But anyway, I'll keep going here and make another video soon. So thanks for watching.